Assalamu Alaikum, brothers and sisters. Fasting is one of the few acts of worship that is almost entirely hidden from others. No one truly knows whether you are fasting except you and your Creator. But while avoiding food and drink is the most visible part, there are hidden mistakes that can silently weaken or even nullify your fast without you realizing it. In this video, we will uncover 5 overlooked mistakes that must be avoided to protect and perfect your fast, starting with the first one. Number 1. Using fasting as an excuse for bad behavior. Fasting is supposed to purify not just the body, but also the soul. Yet for many, it becomes an excuse for bad behavior. Hunger and thirst are challenging, but they do not justify impatience, harshness, or irritability. Some people snap at others, speak rudely, or withdraw from responsibilities, blaming it on their fast. But fasting was never meant to be a reason for mistreating others. It is a test of self-control. Many people assume that if they avoid food and drink, their fast is valid, no matter how they behave. But in reality, fasting is not just about the body. It's about discipline over emotions, speech, and actions. If hunger makes a person quick to anger, then they have misunderstood the purpose of fasting. The real challenge is to remain calm, composed, and kind, even in moments of weakness. If fasting only makes a person more impatient or rude, then what has been gained from it? One of the most overlooked mistakes people make is using fasting as an excuse to mistreat others. They assume that being hungry makes them entitled to lash out, be impatient, or ignore their usual responsibilities. But fasting is meant to build self-restraint, not destroy it. The true test of fasting is not just resisting food and drink, but resisting bad habits, especially when under pressure. Another mistake people make is complaining excessively while fasting. Saying things like, "I'm starving," or "I can't function without food," may seem harmless, but they take away from the spiritual purpose of fasting. The struggle is part of the worship, and constantly voicing discomfort shifts the focus from patience to self-pity. Complaining is different from acknowledging difficulty. It changes the mindset from gratitude to resentment. Even worse is when fasting is used to justify neglecting responsibilities. Some people avoid work, skip obligations, or refuse to help others simply because they are fasting. They expect sympathy and special treatment, as if fasting is a burden rather than a privilege. But fasting is not meant to make a person less productive or more selfish. It is meant to train patience and resilience. In fact, some of the greatest historical achievements in Islamic history occurred while people were fasting. Another hidden mistake is letting small annoyances lead to big conflicts. Fasting is a test of patience, but for some, it becomes an opportunity to argue. Whether it's at work, at home, or in public, small disagreements turn into heated arguments simply because a person is hungry. Instead of exercising patience, they react more aggressively than they normally would. This completely contradicts the purpose of fasting, which is to train the self to remain calm, even in difficult situations. The Prophet, peace be upon him, taught that if someone insults you while you are fasting, the best response is to say, "I am fasting." This doesn't just mean stating that you're fasting. It means reminding yourself that fasting is a time for self-control. It is a moment to choose peace over anger, silence over argument, and patience over frustration. Fasting is an opportunity to build resilience, to learn patience, and to develop control over emotions. Using it as an excuse for bad behavior is the opposite of what it is meant to achieve. If anything, fasting should make a person softer in speech, gentler in actions, and more conscious of how they interact with others. A person may complete the entire month of fasting, but if they have spent it arguing, complaining, and treating others poorly, what reward remains? Fasting is not just about physical hunger. It is about refining one's character. Every day of fasting is an opportunity to practice patience, kindness, and restraint. However, controlling our temper is not enough if we are still unknowingly consuming things that could compromise the fast. There are hidden forms of consumption that people often overlook. Number 2. Ignoring hidden forms of consumption. Fasting is more than just avoiding food and drink. While most people are careful not to eat or drink during the fasting hours, many unknowingly consume things in ways they never think about. These hidden forms of consumption can weaken or even nullify the fast without a person realizing it. One of the most common mistakes is swallowing food that remains in the mouth. After eating suhoor, small food particles may remain between the teeth or on the tongue. If they are swallowed deliberately, the fast can be affected. Some people assume that since they didn't put new food into their mouths, it doesn't count. But consuming anything intentionally can impact the fast. This is why many scholars recommend rinsing the mouth thoroughly after eating to ensure no food remains. Another overlooked mistake is chewing gum while fasting. Some people believe that as long as they don't swallow the gum, it doesn't break their fast. However, gum contains flavors, sweeteners, and other substances that dissolve in the mouth and enter the body. This is considered consumption, even if it doesn't involve traditional eating or drinking. Similarly, tasting food without necessity is a mistake many don't realize. Some people taste food while cooking to check the seasoning, thinking that as long as they don't swallow, it's harmless. But there is always a risk of accidental swallowing, even in small amounts, unless absolutely necessary. For instance, if someone is cooking for others and needs to ensure the food isn't spoiled, this should be avoided. Another hidden form of consumption is smoking or vaping during the fast. While most people understand that smoking breaks the fast, some assume that vaping or inhaling flavored smoke doesn't have the same effect. In reality, anything that enters the body in a way that provides nourishment, flavor, or satisfaction is considered consumption. Even inhaling secondhand smoke in concentrated amounts could have an effect. Beyond smoking and vaping, some people don't realize that excessive use of toothpaste or mouth fresheners can be risky. While oral hygiene is important, swallowing even a small amount of toothpaste, mouthwash, or breath spray can affect the fast. Some toothpaste brands contain ingredients that dissolve quickly in the saliva, and when used in large amounts, there is a real chance of accidental ingestion. This doesn't mean avoiding brushing altogether, but rather using minimal toothpaste and being extra cautious when rinsing. Another surprising mistake is inhaling strong fragrances that contain alcohol or chemical vapors. Some perfumes, deodorants, and cleaning sprays release concentrated fumes that, when inhaled deeply, enter the body. While smelling something passively doesn't break the fast, deliberately inhaling strong fumes, especially those with alcohol or medicinal properties, can be a problem. Some religious scholars advise against using strong aerosol sprays directly on the face or in closed spaces during fasting hours. Even using flavored lip balms or creams can pose a hidden risk. Some lip products contain sweeteners or flavors that dissolve upon contact with the lips. When licked or absorbed into the mouth, they act like a subtle form of consumption. Many people apply lip balm without thinking, but during fasting hours, it's better to use unflavored products or avoid them altogether. In addition to these physical mistakes, accidental water intake is another overlooked issue. Some people rinse their mouths or take showers without being cautious, leading to small amounts of water being swallowed unintentionally. While unintentional swallowing does not break the fast, carelessness in these situations should still be avoided. Being mindful of how water enters the body, whether through gargling, rinsing the nose, or taking a shower, is essential. Fasting isn't just about avoiding food and drink. It requires complete awareness of what enters the body. Many people unknowingly engage in these hidden forms of consumption, thinking their fast is safe, when in reality, they are taking small actions that can affect its validity. True fasting requires careful attention to all forms of intake, whether intentional or accidental. But fasting isn't just about what we put into our bodies. It's also about what we keep inside our hearts and minds. Even if we avoid food and drink, failing to purify our thoughts can harm our fast in ways we don't realize. Number 3, neglecting inner fasting. Fasting is not just a physical act. It is a complete transformation of the body, mind, and soul. Yet many people limit their fast to food and drink, forgetting that the real purpose of fasting is purification. They focus on avoiding physical consumption, but allow their hearts and minds to remain cluttered with negativity, distractions, and harmful influences. This is what we call neglecting inner fasting, a mistake that can weaken the true impact of fasting. One of the most damaging habits during fasting is holding on to grudges, resentment, or ill feelings toward others. Many people go through Ramadan while still carrying anger and bitterness from past conflicts. They may refuse to forgive someone who wronged them or continue harboring negative emotions, unaware that these feelings block the spiritual benefits of fasting. Fasting is meant to soften the heart, but how can the heart be softened when it is filled with resentment? Forgiveness and letting go are essential parts of the fasting experience. Just as the body purifies itself by abstaining from food, the heart must purify itself by releasing negativity. A person who fasts but refuses to forgive is like someone who cleanses their body but allows their soul to remain stained. Fasting is a time for self-reflection and inner peace, not for carrying old grudges into a sacred month of renewal. Beyond holding grudges, many people make the mistake of entertaining negative thoughts and emotions during fasting. Envy, arrogance, and excessive worldly concerns distract from the purpose of fasting. Some people spend their fasting hours scrolling through social media, feeling jealous of what others have, or comparing their lives to unrealistic standards. Others allow pride to grow in their hearts, looking down on those who struggle with faith, instead of using Ramadan as a time to improve themselves. The purpose of fasting is to empty the heart of distractions and allow it to be filled with patience, gratitude, and humility. But if the mind is constantly occupied with negativity, competition, and dissatisfaction, the fasting experience becomes hollow. Instead of drawing closer to spirituality, the person remains trapped in the same unhealthy thought patterns they had before Ramadan. Another way people neglect inner fasting is by watching or listening to inappropriate content. Many assume that since they are not eating or drinking, their fast is safe. But if their eyes and ears are consuming harmful content, their spiritual state is affected. Some continue watching content that promotes immorality, wasting hours on entertainment that does not benefit them. Others listen to gossip, backbiting, or harmful discussions, forgetting that fasting is also a form of discipline over what we allow into our minds. Fasting is meant to cleanse not just the stomach, but also the heart and mind. If a person is careful about what enters their mouth, but careless about what enters their heart, they have only completed half of the fasting experience. True fasting goes beyond physical hunger. It is a process of purifying the soul. A person who fasts properly will feel lighter, not just in body, but in spirit. They will notice that their patience increases, their ability to forgive improves, and their focus on meaningful things deepens. But this only happens when fasting is treated as a full-body experience, one that includes the emotions, thoughts, and intentions. Fasting is an opportunity to reset the soul, to clear away bad habits, and to build stronger spiritual discipline. It is a time to reflect on personal growth, self-improvement, and the deeper purpose of life. If a person fasts without changing their mindset, their fasting becomes nothing more than hunger and thirst. The real power of fasting is not in the physical sacrifice, it is in the transformation it creates within. Yet even when we try to maintain inner and outer discipline, there's another hidden mistake many people make, one that happens the moment they break their fast. Number 4. Overeating and overindulging at Iftar. Fasting is a test of self-control, but for many, that control disappears the moment they break their fast. After a long day of hunger and thirst, the temptation to overeat at Iftar is strong. Many people see Iftar as a time to make up for what they missed during the day, filling their plates with large portions and indulging in heavy foods. But overeating and overindulging at Iftar is a hidden mistake that can take away from the true purpose of fasting. Breaking the fast should be a moment of gratitude, not excessive indulgence. The purpose of Iftar is to replenish the body and prepare for worship, not to overload the stomach. When a person eats too much at once, digestion slows down, making them feel heavy, tired, and sluggish. This leads to a lack of focus and motivation, making it difficult to engage in meaningful worship after Iftar. Instead of feeling energized for prayer, many people feel exhausted, unable to stand for long during the night prayers. Another overlooked issue is undoing the benefits of fasting through unhealthy eating. During the fasting hours, the body experiences a natural cleansing process. Digestion rests, toxins are removed, and the stomach has time to heal. But when a person breaks their fast with fried foods, sugary drinks, or excessive portions, they not only shock their digestive system, but also erase the health benefits of fasting. Instead of feeling refreshed, they feel bloated and uncomfortable. One of the biggest mistakes people make is treating Iftar like a feast. Instead of eating in moderation, they prepare extravagant meals with multiple dishes, snacks, and desserts. This goes against the spirit of fasting, which is meant to teach self-discipline. When a person eats excessively at Iftar, they are no longer in control of their appetite. Rather, their appetite controls them. The discipline they developed throughout the day is lost in just a few minutes. Overindulgence also leads to laziness and neglecting night prayers. Many people eat so much that they struggle to stand in prayer or concentrate in worship. The night prayers, which are a major part of Ramadan, become difficult to perform because of fatigue from overeating. Instead of using the night for reflection and spiritual growth, they end up lying down, waiting for their bodies to recover from the excess food. This pattern of overeating continues throughout Ramadan, creating an unhealthy cycle. Many people gain weight during Ramadan instead of experiencing the physical and spiritual benefits of fasting. This happens because they see Iftar as a time to satisfy cravings rather than to nourish the body in a balanced way. The purpose of fasting is to instill discipline. but overeating removes that self-control. The best way to break the fast is with moderation. Eating small portions, drinking water, and allowing the body to adjust before having a full meal helps maintain energy and focus. The Prophet recommended breaking the fast with something light before engaging in prayer, teaching that balance is key. When a person controls their eating at Iftar, they find themselves more alert, more capable of worship, and more in tune with the spiritual essence of fasting. True fasting doesn't end when the sun sets. It continues in the choices a person makes after breaking their fast. The way a person eats at Iftar reflects their ability to maintain self-control. Fasting is not just about avoiding food for a few hours, it is about developing habits that lead to long-term discipline, patience, and gratitude. But perhaps the most overlooked mistake of all is fasting without truly understanding why we do it in the first place. Without purpose, fasting becomes an empty act rather than a path to self-improvement. Number 5. Fasting without purpose or reflection. Fasting is a powerful opportunity for spiritual growth, but for many, it becomes just a routine, a series of mechanical actions performed out of habit or obligation. As the days of Ramadan pass, some people go through the motions of fasting without taking the time to truly reflect or engage with the deeper purpose of the act. They avoid food and drink, but miss the spiritual transformation fasting is meant to bring. This is a significant mistake, as fasting is not simply about deprivation, but about building a connection with the divine and purifying the soul. For many, treating fasting as a routine rather than a chance for personal transformation is one of the most common mistakes. They wake up for suhoor, abstain from food and drink during the day, and break their fast at sunset, all without ever considering the purpose behind their actions. It becomes a mechanical habit, a checklist of daily tasks. While this may fulfill the physical requirements of fasting, it leaves the heart and mind unchanged. The deeper benefits of fasting, such as gaining closer proximity to God, purifying one's thoughts, and developing a greater sense of empathy and gratitude, are lost when the fast is treated merely as a ritual. One of the core elements of fasting is personal reflection and spiritual growth. This is what separates fasting from other forms of abstention. When a person fasts with intention, they take time each day to reflect on their actions, thoughts, and personal struggles. They consider their relationship with God, evaluate their habits, and identify areas of improvement. Without this reflection, fasting becomes a superficial exercise in self-denial. Failing to set intentions before beginning a fast can make the experience feel hollow. Fasting is an act of worship, and like any act of worship, it requires purpose. Intentions are crucial. They direct the focus and energy of the fast. Whether it is to develop patience, purify the heart, strengthen faith, or seek forgiveness, having a clear purpose for fasting allows it to become a powerful tool for transformation. Without intention, fasting can feel like an empty ritual, a mere absence of food, rather than a conscious effort towards spiritual growth. Self-improvement is a key part of the fasting experience. During Ramadan, the goal should be not only to abstain from food, but also to develop good habits, work on weaknesses, and strengthen positive behaviors. Yet, many people simply endure the fast without using it as an opportunity to grow. They might refrain from eating, but they don't make an effort to control their anger, speak kindly, or practice forgiveness. They avoid food, but they fail to improve their inner selves. This makes fasting feel less meaningful, as it doesn't translate into tangible positive changes. Taking time to appreciate the deeper meaning of fasting can turn the experience into something much more than just a physical exercise. Fasting is a powerful act of worship that allows individuals to detach from the material world and focus on the spiritual. The hunger and thirst felt during fasting are reminders of the blessings of food and water, as well as a chance to reflect on the struggles of those less fortunate. When a person takes time to reflect on the significance of fasting and its place in their spiritual journey, it becomes a rich, transformative experience. Without this mindfulness, however, fasting risks becoming a mechanical action, done simply because it's expected, without considering the deep purpose behind it. Fasting is meant to be a journey of growth, a time to connect more deeply with God and purify one's soul. It is not merely an exercise in self-discipline, but an opportunity to become a better person in every aspect, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. When a person fasts with purpose, it becomes a time for reflection, self-improvement, and positive change. It is a journey toward a deeper connection with the divine and an opportunity to leave behind bad habits, negative thoughts, and unproductive behaviors. Without purpose, fasting loses its potential for growth and becomes just another routine. When people fail to reflect on their fasting experience, they miss out on the true essence of Ramadan. The fasting period should be seen as a unique opportunity to reset, to build better habits, and to transform spiritually. But when this time is spent going through the motions without deeper engagement, the fast loses its power to change and renew. As Ramadan passes, those who reflect on these 5 mistakes will be able to make the most of their fasting experience and truly benefit from its rewards. By embracing intention, reflection, and self-improvement, fasting becomes not just a ritual, but a transformative journey that deepens the connection to faith and spirituality. As we come to the end of this video, I hope these insights will help you make the most of your fasting experience and deepen your spiritual journey. Remember, fasting is not just about what you abstain from, but about what you fill your heart and mind with during this time. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe for more unique Islamic teachings. Also, be sure to join our Discord community. The link is in the description below, where we can continue the conversation and support each other in our journey of growth. Stay safe, stay focused, and may your fast be filled with reflection and blessings.